welcome, ladies. I'm happy to have both of you here today. We've got Susan Deringer with us today, as well as Linda Canty, and they're both very involved in leading our charge here with the Silverado Fire Safe Counsel, which Susan and Linda are involved in, and then Linda's also on the board for the Napa County Fire Wise. So I've invited both of you today because this is a very, I say, nail-biting time of year. People start thinking about the fire season, and there's so much great work that your organizations have done and your leadership has done, and I just wanted you to fill us in on a little bit of the history, what's been accomplished to date, and what we as members here at Silverado can do to help support the cause. So with that, Susan, can I start with you?
Absolutely.
And just ask you to give us a little bit of background on the Silverado Fire Safe Counsel and how this whole thing came to be.
Okay. The council started in 2018. It was led initially by Bill Sensky and several other important community members and residents. We tackled first off doing a document called the CWPP. That's the Community-Wide Wildfire Protection Plan. I'll get it right. CWPP is a lot easier.
Yeah.
So that is a document which actually talks about our topography, talks about how our homes are clustered, talks about our water sources, access, egress to the community, and assesses how vulnerable we are to wildfires. It was then completed with the help of a lot of people and sent to the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, and they accepted it. It also contained 10 priorities that we should work on.
Okay.
So that was done in May of 19. And since then, we've been able to maintain our recognition by the Fire Wise USA, which affords us a lot of different things. One, it keeps us working because we've got a project list and we have to report each year on what we've done, but also keeps us focused as we move forward on things that we need to do to make our community safer.
Okay.
Every year we submit information about that. We submit dollars spent, and right now as a community we need to spend $36,000, which is easy for us. And then also it tracks education we've provided to the community, etc. So it keeps us on task.
Okay.
It's done annually, and we want to keep it for the reasons of it helps with some of the homeowners insurance, and it also is in the newer state fire regulations from the California Department of Insurance, that is something insurance companies should be considering when they set our rates.
Got it.
So
Got it.
that's it.
So the purpose of spending the $36,000 or $35,000 or however much it is every year is just that you're showing and demonstrating that we are actively engaged with our households, our homeowners.
Correct.
To ensure that stuff's happening from a mitigation perspective, etc. Education. Got it.
Education.
Got
Yes.
it. Good.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
So we've done a few projects. Obviously, we've done quite a few projects since 18. People may or may not be aware of. The communities probably are, the HOAs. In the spring of last year, we helped Creekside, Oak Creek. We've been involved with Silverado Oaks. We did the BNC Condo Creek mitigation.
Okay.
We also did the islands on Westgate, the two ravine islands that were very much overgrown. We didn't necessarily fund those, but we helped coordinate the projects.
Got it.
And the latest one is what we're doing, what has been accomplished south of BNC condos down to Atlas Peak along Canapali. That came out of our funds plus residents' funds, and it was $21,000. So we worked together on that project because the creeks probably are our most, Milliken Creek is our most vulnerable area right now. We do work with CAL FIRE, so CAL FIRE comes in and says, this should be your priority and you're okay over here. So we do get some advice from them.
God, that's great. Well, thank you, Susan. I know you have been so instrumental, and your leadership is not unnoticed. So we appreciate what you've done there. So Linda, now that we've got a little bit of background about Silverado Fire, Safe Counsel, or Fire Wise, as I like just to sum it up, can you give us a little bit of update on some of the projects? Because you guys have done some incredible work.
Okay, well, so the big project that was completed around the entire community was the fuel break, and that was completed by the Napa Community's Fire Wise Foundation. I'm on the board for that, and we got the funding for that project from the county. It was $750,000 was the estimate to do the work, and so this was clearing the brush all the way from Atlas Peak, around the crests, the highlands, Westgate, Burning Tree, and then behind St. Andrews. So it is protection of the entire perimeter, and that was removal of all the dead trees and brush from 2017 fires. That was all just fire fuel just sitting there, and so it increases the fuel break from the homes from 100 feet, which is what's required for defensible space, to 300 feet, and so it just makes it significantly safer. And the county paid for that. They were also able to get CAL FIRE hand crews for free, and so that reduced the overall cost of the project. But it needs to be maintained. That was completed in March of 2022, and so now we need to maintain that, and it's going to be about $150,000 every year to maintain. We've started doing some private fundraising, and we've got about a little more than half of what we need just from asking around. But eventually, this is something that's going to have to be a self-sustaining funding source, and we're going to need the whole community to pitch in for that. And so that means passing a tax or some kind of measure where everybody, based on their property taxes within the district, that they all chip in to keeping this this fire break maintained.
Got it. So when you talk about the fire break, though, I was fortunate to hear from the chief of CAL FIRE recently, and he was talking about evacuation plans in the event that something does happen, and you've got plans in place for our community here at Silverado, right?
Well, the county does.
Okay.
And so, and we'll actually be talking about this in detail on October 7th here at the Members Clubhouse from 4 to 6. It's open to the public. It's free to anybody who wants to come. We can only have 200 people at the most, but we would like it to be well attended. We'll have both fire chiefs there.
Great.
And they'll be open for questions. But we'll talk about how the county has set up a plan. There are evacuation zones that have been designated. Everybody needs to know what their zone is.
Okay.
And everybody needs to be signed up for NIXL alerts.
Okay.
And so that gives you the basic information that you need to know, that when you get a NIXL alert that your zone is being evacuated, then it's time for you to leave. So, and this is all available on the county website.
Okay.
And there's also a webinar that will be hosted by the Highlands Fire Safe Council on August 22nd. That's at 4 o'clock, and that's available for everyone to watch online, and that's strictly to talk about evacuation planning.
Great. Gosh, you guys have really done a number here. I'm impressed. I really am. What else can we, aside from being prepared and understanding that we all have our individual responsibilities, but we also have a collective responsibility to this beautiful community. So considering going forward that we've got to help chip away at this nut that it's going to cost every year, other things that we can do as members at Silverado?
So I think there's three main things. I mean, there's the funding piece I just talked about. The second piece is just know your neighbors. Be aware of what their abilities are for evacuating. We have, there are people in wheelchairs and people that may have more trouble, and so just know what's going on in your community, where you can help.
Right.
And then just your house is as safe as your neighbor's house. If your neighbor has not cleared their defensible space and maintained, you know, we'd like to have the 5-foot zone be clear, so that's from the house 5 feet out, that there'd be nothing flammable there. And then to maintain the 30 feet and 100 feet spacing. This is all available on the website if you want to see the defensible space guidelines of what kind of plants should be planted where. But home-to-home ignition, that will happen in a wind-driven fire. And if we don't have junipers cleared and other flammable material cleared, then you know, your house will be in trouble if your neighbor has not done their clearing. So we all just need to work together on it.
Great, thank you. This is so informative. And the October 7th meeting, right?
4 to 6.
I know that just came out on our members' website. And we're going to keep pushing that, because I think the more we know and the more educated we are, the safer we're going to be. So, Susan and Linda, thanks for all your work and leadership on this. I know it's a huge responsibility, and we really appreciate you.
Well, thanks for asking us.
Yeah. Thank you.